So we are entering a new throwback rotation format here in March, and this time we'll be playing in Omen of 10. And as usual, we'll be playing a sword deck first off because that's what I always do. It's basically the tradition of this channel. We'll be playing some Midrange Sword here. You will find that it's very similar to the Steel Rebellion Midrange Sword if you played during that period. But yeah, it's still the Latham focus deck that it was last time. But I think this one's a bit weaker, but who knows really. Anyway, this deck's not really a top meta deck right now or anything, but it's perfectly fine if you're trying to just climb, and I think it's been doing pretty well with it so far. So yeah, let's look at the deck list first. So today we'll be playing some Midrange Sword here. The list we're running today. I just took it from the tournament winning list. I didn't make any changes to it whatsoever. This list seems to work fine for me, so I've just been playing with this list and working out. So yeah, it's pretty similar to the Steel Rebellion Midrange Sword that we saw last time. You still have the Latham, which is your main late game win condition, and then you have Celia to try and win in the early game as well with the Bear's Messenger. It bounces your followers and then gives you attack based on how many you bounce. So this is the list. Let's look at some games. So our first game here is against Dragon. Dragon is considered one of the top meta decks right now, I guess, apparently. The Poseidon high roll is pretty strong. Other than that, I'm not too sure. Anyway, for the mulligan, we just look for early game. Look for Lux, who can draw a Latham. That's about it really. Pretty straightforward stuff here. So early game, we just want to start putting pressure on our opponent, especially against Dragon. If they spend their early game ramping, we definitely need to try to apply pressure and kill them before they get to play. They're strong cards, and even if they spend it playing followers, we want to have presence on board to fight for it, because Dragon can get out of hand if you're not careful. So go ahead and draw Octris here. Against some matchups, you can consider saving Octris. Against Dragon, not really important, I think. My opponent is gonna drop Roy here, probably just to ramp more. We take the opportunity to drop Lux here. Her Enhanced 4 draws Latham guaranteed, so you want to try to play it when you have time. In this case, we could have used Usurping Spineblade and Pressured Face, but instead I'd rather get the Lux out to just draw into our deck while we have the chance here, and the Spineblade will come in handy later on when clearing followers as well. Go ahead and use it to clear the ILI here, and then draw another Octris just for tempo, not to do anything else. And then we go ahead and evolve here. We evolve the Knight to play around Galamu and Hans as much as we can by evolving our 1 health followers out of range of Galamu's and Hans 7. There's a PDK for my opponent. That's gonna be fine. We're just gonna clear some of our followers here. We will evolve the Phylene as well. A Phylene spell only targets damaged followers, so they will pick out the Ultras here, but we do have lethal thanks to having our evil point here, so go ahead and play the Quick Blader here, punch them in the face a few times, and then play Celia to bounce our entire hand. You can see that no matter what they targeted with White Frost Whisper, even if they did target the Knight, I still had lethal here, so that's one way to win games with this deck. So that's it for the first game. Let's move on to the next game. Our next game here is against Shadow, and this time we are going second. As a deck that likes to chip damage early on to finish in the late game, we do of course prefer going first, but I guess we go second. Against Shadow especially, Shadow heavily favors going first, so we generally don't want to be going second against them, but that's how it ends up this time. So yeah, we go ahead and just pick up the Chimera since we're going... we pick up the Chimera here. If we're going second, we definitely want to have the rush to deal with followers at some point, so we pick up the Chimera here. Go ahead and just clear their follower just to reduce damage incoming to our face. Later on, if they get Arcus active, we start taking a lot of storm damage, so we want to minimize damage coming to our face while we can. We just draw Octris to fight for board here. If we don't clear it, we can evolve the Octris to pick up more loot cards. Maybe if that happens. Of course, there is an argument for saving Octris for stealing last words, but against Shadow, I don't think it's that valuable. My opponent just drops Fairy, so we go ahead and use the Chimera here, summon a Knight. We can build up a nice board here while chipping them for a bit of damage. Of course, we don't expect them to struggle too much with this board, but better than nothing. There's the Kerberos here. So they'll go ahead and evolve. Kerberos is very strong. Be able to convert their followers into board clear potential by making them deal damage to our followers as well, which is mildly annoying, but it's fine. Go ahead and evolve Octris here to start dealing some damage to face. I figured that I could clear this board anyway, so I can just evolve Octris. Go ahead and trade to heal them first. And we use the blade to clear, and we'll poke buff the Octris as well to poke them in the face. Putting Octris at 4 makes it a bit harder to clear, not by much though. It doesn't make them have to use stuff like Friend's spell to clear it, which is pretty good for us. Opponent, I guess, tries to deny me stealing their draw, which is fine because we don't have Octris in hand anyway. We expect them to try to drop Arcus next turn, so this time I want to put out a board. So we go ahead and evolve the frontline Cavalier here and drop a Lux as well alongside it. Build a board here just to annoy my opponent. We do have Latham in hand already, so we don't really have to worry about Lux's enhance 4. Opponent will drop the Arcus here as we sort of expected, but because we have a bunch of followers on board here, it's not too bad. We can sort of punish them, hopefully. We'll use the Apostle of Usurpation here. We're guaranteed 2 loot, so we can clear the Arcus. And we maintain a board as well, which is just our way of protecting our face in case they try to send ghosts into our face. They sort of have to spend at least some of their ghosts on my board, I think. Let's kill Nalis. They will go ahead and use to clear my Apostle here. I don't believe this is quite lethal with Celia yet, so we go ahead and just drop the Latham. Now our damage is online as well. You do note that unfortunately our hand is not super good for a Celia finish because Rapier Master can't be played for under 5 cost, so we can't play some Rapier Master bounce. Annoying, but on the bright side, our opponent is forced to answer our board here, so that's good for us. A bunch of followers for us as well. Go ahead and punch them in the face, and this will be lethal with Celia as well. So you can see Celia doing good work, especially with Latham. Go ahead and bounce these, and then we can punch them in the face, but my opponent just can't. Our last game here will be against Blood, and we are going first. Blood is considered one of, if not the best deck in the current format, so we have an uphill battle here. Go ahead and just keep the Lathams because they're great for early game, chipping them down. Against Blood, chipping them down early game makes it easier to punish them for picking themselves later on in the game, so let's go ahead and convert one of these chromatic duels into Magnus. I'm not too sure why I picked Magnus here. I guess I just assumed that they would probably be focused on being on the back foot and trying to clear my followers instead, so picking Magnus here is probably better in my opinion there. Against Blood, you actually do want to save Octris here, so we just drop the Lux and we can open the other chromatic duel and pick up Chimera here instead to clear that follower they have next turn. If they don't, I mean, they can't clear it themselves, so yeah, we do keep the Chimera for that. Fortunately, my opponent does trade here instead of hitting me in the face, which is good for us because that means we can keep our Chimera on board here by trading. Take a bit of damage here, but my opponent is clearly lower than us. We are at the advantage here. My opponent does not Restless Parish as well as the gift for Bloodkin to invoke their Flower Rose to get some healing going, but this is what we saved our Octris for, so yeah, this is one reason to play what I guess is being able to steal Octris. Using Octris to steal Flower's last words is very valuable. So we will go ahead and do that, just take their last words away. We can use it to heal ourselves as well. And we pick out a knife here, which we don't expect to be super useful, so we just get rid of the bat so that we can send the bat that we have on board to their face instead. Opponent is gonna play Dark Pact to draw an answer here. They pick out a Scorpius here, which is, I suppose, fine. They will ping themselves more, which is, if you ask me, not ideal, but I guess that's what my opponent is doing here. Got Zeta here, but not quite using Zeta right now. We use Vals just to get a follower on board, just to heat up the pressure, try to get them to spend something like their evil points, hopefully, so that we can get advantage that way. Then we'll go for another Blood Pact here, and a Snarling Chain as well. The Evil Eye Demon as well. And Gift for Blood King will allow them to summon another Flower Rose. which is presumably for them to heal out of range. Actually don't have enough damage in hand to win, which is pretty funny, but we do have another Ultras to steal the Flowers again, but we just pick out Dragon Knights, which is going to be lethal, so that's it for this game as well. So those are all the games I have for you today. Hopefully it gave you some idea of how this deck works. Personally, I think it's fairly strong, even though it's not top tier. It can if you're just looking to climb, this can definitely get you there. And if you're coming in from Steel Rebellion's throwback rotation, then you probably have most of these cards already, so it's not even that expensive to just build this deck and play it. So yeah, if those that sounds good to you, you can go ahead and play this deck, and I think you won't have trouble climbing. Yeah, that's it for today. See you next time. Bye bye.